I've been wanting to do a second album for a while now, and where I wanted to do something different from Stage by Stage was I wanted to try material that perhaps had not been done before or was not the obvious choice. You know, in many ways, Stage by Stage is full of the obvious choices, and everybody's recorded those songs. And I wanted to try something, I don't know, different, just to see what would be possible. And I had a list of songs in my head, and I thought, well, this will bear fruit when the time is right. From the Footlights is an album of musical theatre tracks, but not the ones you'd expect. There are old favourites like Being Alive, all that jazz, and then along with those are some tracks that either haven't really been covered before or have finally been covered and given a brand new approach and a fresh feel, because I wanted to see how stylistically we could play with some genres and give the listener an experience of all types of musical theatre, from classics all the way through to some of the latest stuff that's just closed on Broadway now, if not still running. You know, the thing about this sort of material is that what makes it so special is that it's live. And you walk into a theatre, you sit down, you watch a show, and that song, the way it's delivered in that moment, will never be the same ever again. And there's something, for me, there's something very magical about that. That's why I do this. It's addictive to do that. I'd like to think it's addictive to watch. And I wanted to capture that live, slightly dangerous, you know, anything might happen feel. Because you know, with this sort of genre, when you record it too comfortably and everything's too easy and on a plate, it becomes very nice music, but it's not theatre music anymore for me. And I just said to Adam and Brian, I want this to feel, when somebody puts this on at home, I want this to feel like there's a pit band just over there, and they've got the best seats in the house. Oh, there were some very interesting moments during the recording of this. I knew this music, and I knew what it would evoke, and I thought that was that. But when you get into that studio, into that booth, and the music begins to play, and it all hits you at once. There were a few moments where we had to just sort of take five and just pull ourselves towards ourselves, because something like Being Alive was, yeah, it was a very special 20 minutes, I can tell you that. We recorded the album over I think it was just 2 weeks, and I pictured in my head, when you watch those DVDs of people recording albums, you see a big room with lots of musicians and a stressed out producer counting the hours as they go by. But for this, we recorded everybody in separate sections. And I suppose it gave us the ability to really focus on each sound individually, as they would be in a pit, you know. And it was fascinating, because the first day we'd get the rhythm section, and you know, Denny Lowett on bass, Rob Watson on drums, David Cousins on keys, Raymond Green on guitar. Like, this is crazy times. And we lay down that foundation. Then the next day, in come the string players, the fantastic string players. Then we'd get in the reeds and the woodwinds, and then we get in the brass. You sit there and you think, this doesn't happen every day. And it was amazing to sit behind glass and just see and hear everything that you hoped it would be surpassed. I would definitely say All I Need Is the Girl from Gypsy. All I said to Brian was, I want Glenn Miller. That's what I want. And he came up with this arrangement, and I finally, I got my brass section. And when he sent me the arrangement, it was one of the hardest for him to do, because it's a very straightforward song, and he just found a way to get it so cool, you know. And every time in the studio, it's difficult. Those opening bars. We recorded it a few times, because the first line, I was smiling so much that I was going sharp. So we had to do that a couple of times, but man oh man, I still, that hands down, my favorite track.
Now I'm smooth and snappy, now my tailor's happy, I'm the cat's meow, my wardrobe is a wow. Paris silk, Paris tweed, there's only one thing I need.
While we were recording this album, Brian Hill of the Teatro at Monte Cassino came along and said, you know, this material is really something special. You shouldn't just leave this in the studio. You should do this. This is a show. Why don't you look at doing a few concerts at the Teatro? And I thought, he said, think about it. And the problem with me is when you let me think about something for too long, it usually ends up as a yes. And I took all of 5 seconds and said, right, that's a fantastic idea. So what this means is that from the 18th to the 20th of September this year, every time I say this, it's madness. I can't believe I'm saying this. From the 18th to the 20th of September this year, From the Footlights will be at the Teatro at Monte Cassino on stage with an 18-piece Broadway big band conducted by Brian Schimmel, and we will be performing tracks from the album as well as a few personal favorites from the musicals. Add to this, we've got some special guest stars in the form of Nadine, who I worked with in Jesus Christ Superstar, Tracy Lee Oliver, Lindiwe Bongani, both from Dreamgirls. I mean, come on. And then on top of that, the big cherry on the top, you add Harry Sideropoulos of Hairspray fame and my friend. And it's just going to be an evening of just bliss. And I cannot believe that it's going to be 3 years later since Phantom that I'm back on the Teatro stage and singing this material of all things. It's going to be